families didn't get anything, and we know they're injured hostages over there. So it's dangerous for their lives. Every minute that passes, they can be dying, if not dead already.
Families of hostages are holding out hope for another temporary extension of the ceasefire as the deadline for this most recent extended truce has just expired. Good evening. I'm Ellison Barber in for Gadi Schwartz. That deadline did not expire today before another round of hostages were released. Among them, the second U.S. citizen released since the ceasefire began. She is 49-year-old Liat Benin, a dual Israeli-American citizen. Benin is one of 16 hostages freed today by Hamas. Hamas released this edited video, the one you see on your screen here, showing a mother and daughter being escorted across the Israeli border. The Israeli military says that more than 140 hostages remain in Gaza. So far, over 100 have been released. But there is hope that this daily exchange of prisoners for hostages might continue. A senior Arab diplomat directly involved in negotiations tells NBC News that the truce could extend for 2 more days. Here's Secretary of State Antony Blinken on the prospect of a new deal earlier today.
Look, we'd like to see the pause extended because what it has enabled, first and foremost, is hostages being released, coming home, being reunited with their families. It's also enabled us to surge humanitarian assistance into the people of Gaza who so desperately need it.
NBC News correspondent David Noriega joins me now from Tel Aviv. David, let's start with just what happens next with the end of this ceasefire agreement. What do you expect to see? And right now, do you get the sense that it could be extended? And if so, what kind of is the likelihood, the percent possibility of that happening?
Yeah, Ellison, I want to stay away from making any kind of predictions because I think if I do that, I will just wind up being wrong. But here's what I can tell you. There are intense diplomatic efforts underway to extend this ceasefire. I think the fact that we're already past the midnight deadline and the fighting has not resumed just is a sign that those efforts are, in progress. We have heard over the course of the day from diplomatic sources some signs of optimism, specifically the expectation that the ceasefire will be extended by another 2 days. We know that some of the diplomatic actors here, particularly the Qataris, want a more comprehensive deal rather than this kind of piecemeal day by day or two day by 2 day extension. Nevertheless, nothing here is done until it's done. And the Israeli government, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has indicated, he's made a point of indicating to his constituents, to some of the people in his government, that he intends for the fighting to resume. So we really can't make any concrete predictions here. We know that the efforts are underway to extend the ceasefire, and we expect to get some news on that, hopefully overnight, so that by the time we wake up tomorrow, we can have a sense of what to expect. Ellison.
So we know in this latest group of hostages that were released, an American was among them. What can you tell us about the group that was released today?
Yeah, so it was a total of 16 hostages, 10 Israeli citizens who were released within the framework of the ceasefire agreement, plus an additional 2 Israeli hostages who were dual Russian-Israeli nationals that were released by Hamas as they've been doing over the course of the last week, a gesture of goodwill to President Vladimir Putin. On top of that, 4 Thai nationals. Within the group of 10 Israeli nationals released as part of the agreement, there was a dual American-Israeli citizen. That is hugely significant because it shows that the diplomatic efforts that the Americans have been making to extend the ceasefire are working, and probably that we can expect those diplomatic efforts to continue because we know that there are still more Americans captive in the Gaza Strip, including the husband of the one American woman who was released today and one other American woman who should be included within the framework of women and children hostages for women and children Palestinian prisoners that has been guiding the ceasefire from the beginning. Ellison.
You know, David, I was talking to a contact I have inside of Gaza today, someone who had gotten in touch with while I was over there reporting, and I was just checking in with him, and he sent me this text saying, I just wish to live normally like other teenagers in the world, at least not to be afraid to die like this. I've had so many dreams that I haven't accomplished yet, and now I don't know if I will be able to. feels like he has never felt any sort of relief with this ceasefire because he knew it would end at some point. And Israeli military officials, the prime minister, had been so clear on what they planned to do as soon as the ceasefire did stop. I'm curious, when you're speaking with Palestinians, be those who are inside of Gaza or those who you have met, as you've reported, in the West Bank, what they feel right now as there is this possible end to this ceasefire.
Yeah, Ellison, man, the Palestinians that I spoke to in the West Bank, pretty much all of them said that they hoped this ceasefire was the seed that would grow into a permanent truce, right? However, they also said that they didn't think this conflict would end until there was an end to the occupation, right? Unless you address what is, in their perspective, at the root of the conflict, which is the occupation, then there won't be an end to the conflict. So as much as we hear hope from the Palestinian side of this conflict, you also hear a desire for an outcome that, based on the kinds of statements we've heard over the years from Prime Minister Netanyahu, and particularly the members of his government to the right of him in his coalition, is not particularly likely to happen. So it's a tough one, right? We also want, as I said earlier, we know that the Qataris want this to be the beginning of a lasting truce. We're seeing more pressure from the Americans to at least change the terms of the conflict such that it isn't being waged, I think, as relentlessly as we've seen it waged so far. But all of these, I think, are things that are to be determined, honestly. Again, like I said at the beginning here, it's really, really exceptionally difficult to make any predictions where we're standing at the moment. Ellison.
NBC News correspondent David Noriega, we appreciate you being there and bringing us updates as they happen. We appreciate you. Thank you. More breaking news tonight, this time concerning Elon Musk. For weeks now, big companies like Apple and Disney have pulled back from buying ads on X, formerly known as Twitter, after Musk appeared to endorse anti-Semitic and conspiratorial posts on the platform. Well, tonight, while part of an annual media summit hosted by the New York Times, Musk told some of those very same advertisers in person to go F themselves. Watch.
This had been said online. There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f*** yourself.
But
go f*** yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
Hi to Bob there. He meant Disney CEO Bob Iger. Let's bring in Kate Conger. She's a reporter with the New York Times and covers technology companies. Hey, Kate, so I did not go to business school, but I feel like that is maybe not the best way to bolster ad revenue, and that is where X makes most of its money, right? What am I missing here? Is there a strategy behind Elon Musk saying this tonight?
Well, there's a tension going on at X right now between what Elon Musk wants to do with the platform and its revenue obligations, and what Linda Yaccarino, who's the new CEO, has been put in charge of, which is bringing the advertisers back to the platform. So, Elon wants to push this sort of free speech maximalist agenda with X, and then Linda, on the flip side of the coin, has to try to convince advertisers to come back and advertise on X.
Disney specifically was one of the companies that pulled their ads over Musk's anti-Semitic tweets. He tried to walk back on those tweets, or posts as we call them now, since then, even visiting Israel, meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu last week. Let's listen to some of what Elon Musk said about those tweets at the summit. Listen.
I'm sorry for that tweet or post. It was foolish of me. Of the 30,000, it might be literally the worst and dumbest post that I've ever done.
Okay, in the eyes of the public, and especially the advertisers here, was Musk, at least before those go F yourself comments, was he on track to kind of get their money back?
Twitter has started, or I should say X actually now, I'm still adjusting, but X has started to make progress over the summer since they brought in Linda Yaccarino to bring advertisers back to the platform. But these latest outbursts from Musk have really driven advertisers away again. And they're looking at a really severe revenue deficit for the last quarter of this year.
You mentioned earlier talking about some of the tension that your sources are saying they feel like with inside of this company. You mentioned the new CEO who is running things at X. Musk, obviously, given his name, his recognition, he is always going to have a large amount of influence over it. I'm curious, though, what you are hearing from experts in the industry as they're watching all of this unfold and moving forward, the status of X, of Elon Musk in the tech sector in the coming weeks and months. What might that look like?
I think the advertising industry is pretty appalled by all of this. And, Twitter has always been a second or third buy for them. It hasn't been the primary place to go when you're thinking about social media advertising. Other names like TikTok or Instagram will be at the top of those lists. And so I think advertisers are looking at this and saying, well, if they don't want us, we don't need to be there. And I think the proposal that Elon and Linda have been making is to sort of change the way the advertising game works and make it more of an ideological thing. They're asking advertisers to take the stance of standing by free speech, no matter what that speech is, no matter how offensive it might be, and to sort of use their dollars in an ideological way to back that agenda that Musk is pushing with X.
Is there a precedent or other tech company recent example you can think of where they've done that and it's worked quite well for them?
No.
Okay. All right. So we will see how this plays out then. Kate Conger with the New York Times. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And at least one person is dead after a U.S. military aircraft crashed near Japan. Rescuers are now searching for several missing passengers. Local Coast Guard says that it happened in the waters near the small southern island of Yakushima. The Air Force says they believe 8 people were on board. NBC News Pentagon correspondent Courtney Kuby has more.
Ellison, a U.S. Air Force Osprey crashed off the southern coast of Japan earlier today with 8 U.S. airmen on board. And tonight, defense officials tell NBC News that the remains of one of those airmen have been recovered, but search and rescue efforts continue and may continue for the next 72 hours while they continue to look for the additional airmen who went down with that aircraft. At this point, defense officials cannot say what caused the aircraft to crash into the ocean. They do say that the airmen who were on board were from an Air Force Special Operations Wing that's based out of Kadena, Japan. So they were there in the area, and they were on some sort of a routine training mission. But beyond that, we don't have a whole lot of details about what may have caused this crash. Now, the Osprey has had a difficult history, even recently. There have been 3 Osprey crashes in less than 2 years. And in fact, a little over a year ago, the same overarching group, a command group that was over this unit that crashed, the Air Force Special Operations Command, they grounded all of their Ospreys for more than 2 weeks over safety concerns. In that case, there was a malfunctioning clutch in a number of the Ospreys that they were concerned could lead to crashes. Now, again, we still don't have a cause for this most recent crash. Defense officials say that it could take weeks or even months for them to determine that. In the meantime, U.S. military officials have been notifying the next of kin that their loved ones who are on board this are in fact still missing. Ellison?
Courtney Kuby, thank you. Tonight, millions of people across the Great Lakes and Northeast are under blankets of snow after an early blast of winter weather. Nearly 3.5 feet of snow fell over the past 2 days. That is taller than 3 2-liter soda bottles stacked on top of each other, or an average-size baseball bat. The heavy snowfall hit parts of Ohio, New York, and Pennsylvania, causing visibility concerns into the morning hours. And the icy temperatures, they are being felt all the way down in Florida, where manatees were spotted gathering in warmer waters today, a common occurrence once the water down there starts to chill. We have a team tracking the bitter cold conditions tonight. We start with NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch in Ohio.
Ellison, we've got clear skies this evening outside of Cleveland, Ohio, but the Great Lakes region has seen a good amount of snowfall over the last couple of days thanks to lake effect snow. Those warnings are now past, but it's still really cold out here. And you can see the aftermath, the snow pushed to the side in the cleanup effort, but we can still see icy patches. We've seen slush throughout the day. And for people even beyond this snow zone, there's been a good stretch of the country up and down the East Coast that has been dealing with below average temperatures. Tomorrow we should be seeing a thaw in the east, which is good news for people who are trying to warm up. But this is definitely a winter wake up, and it's not seen as bad news by all. Some people enjoy the cold, enjoy the snow, including some folks we talked with in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania, outside of Erie in the western part of that state. In that community, they were putting up the community Christmas tree today, and for some at least, it's actually nice to see snow on the ground when they're going to have a tree lighting ceremony. Here's what we heard from someone who was helping put that tree up.
To have this little burst of snow helps get everyone in the mood and get them excited for the winter. So, yeah, it's welcome here.
So it's helping put you in the holiday spirit.
Oh, absolutely.
And with the return of snowy weather, officials, especially for the first big storm of the year, at least in Edinburgh, officials stressing all the more reason to be reminding people to be cautious on the roadways because they're transitioning from summer to fall into now winter driving. And it's the first time they're really seeing a lot of that snow this time around. Ellison.
Jesse Kirsch, thank you. Let's turn now to NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns, who has a look at the conditions tonight and the conditions likely to be seen for the next couple of days. Hey, Bill.
Well, good evening to you, Ellison. And this storm is finally over with. All the snow in the Great Lakes done. All the cold air that was causing it is on its way out. So we get done with this, and then we're going to get into a very active weather pattern right up to the weekend, through the weekend, and even into the beginning of next week. We're going to start getting into what I'd call an El Nino weather pattern for our winter season. And that's when we expect a lot of storms, one after another. Not so much cold, but a lot of storms. So currently, the snow is over with, but the cold air is still in place. The wind chill still only feels like 16 in Buffalo. It's still bundle up weather all through New England, and especially in mid-Atlantic. Richmond feels like 30, Charleston 42. But the recovery is already taking place here. Temperatures feel like they're in the 50s as far north as St. Louis. So things have significantly warmed up in the Ohio Valley, Midwest, and this will eventually be heading to the East Coast as we go throughout the day tomorrow. So that's good news for anyone that didn't like the cold. Now, the one exception will be southern Georgia and also North Florida. Tonight, right around freezing, so take the pets in, cover up any plants, be careful with that. 31 Tallahassee, 31 Montgomery, so scattered frost, hopefully not like a hard freeze, and that'll be it. Then it will warm up even there significantly. So then we start our next storm, our next track. We're going to start with severe weather threat, then we're going to turn to a rain threat, and then a lot of snow. So let's first start with the severe threat. Area of orange, this is the enhanced risk. This does include 8 million people. This is going to be during the day tomorrow. Not so much during the night, but more during the daylight hours. So Houston, you're included in this. Beaumont, Lake Charles, Port Arthur, Cameron, all the way down to Galveston. Isolated tornadoes. It's not going to be a tornado outbreak, but of course it only takes one to have a bad day. So Friday's forecast, that rainy, stormy weather that was in Texas heads through the southeast, comes up the East Coast with some light rain. Nothing too bad, maybe a little bit of snow here in areas of Michigan and also northern portions of Illinois. And then our huge storm comes into the northwest. This one is going to be with us for a while. So this comes into the Rockies by the time we get to Saturday. A new storm brings heavy rain in the southeast, maybe northern New England with a little snow on Saturday too. But this storm that was in the west is going to move eventually east. Then by Sunday, a new storm comes into the west, and we're going to see like a lot of rain. I mean, we're going to probably talk about some flooding issues by the time we get to early next week. Some of the mountains will get feet of snow over the next couple of days. Great for the ski resorts, from Yellowstone near Jackson all the way back up through Idaho and even spots of Montana too. And then by the time we're done on Sunday, we'll have that rainy weather on the East Coast too. So the next 7 days, 2 to 3 inches of rain in the southeast. This dark red is at least 3 inches. Someone could get 7 inches of rain in the Pacific Northwest, and then northern New England. But this may not be all rain. Northern New England has a chance of some significant snow over the next couple days, especially as we go through Sunday, Monday, into Tuesday. That's why in the next 7 days, possibilities, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, anywhere from 6 to 9 inches. And then, as I mentioned, with that storm coming through the west, all of the mountainous regions from the Rockies, Central Rockies here, from Telluride northwards to Aspen, Vail to Steamboat, and then outside Salt Lake City. The skier's delight as we head into December, Ellison, for everyone in the west. So active weather, be prepared. I'm sure we'll be talking again soon.
Bill Cairns, thank you. Don't go anywhere because we are just getting started here. A terrifying rescue caught on camera. Look at this. Border Patrol pulled a mother and her 2 kids out of the Rio Grande River. We're taking you to the southern border for an up-close look at the migrant crisis. Plus, saying goodbye to a dog can be really difficult for a family. But what if your pup's life could be extended? A new drug might make it possible. And AI, it can help your life in countless ways, but it can also be extremely harmful, especially when it comes to weight loss. That report is later this hour, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Here are some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. A Pennsylvania college student who was shot in Vermont last weekend has been released from the hospital. Kenan Abdulhamid was with 2 friends, 2 of them wearing a traditional Arab scarf when a man opened fire on them on the street. Police identified the alleged gunman as 48-year-old Jason Eaton and are investigating the shooting as a hate crime. Former First Lady Rosalind Carter was buried near her home in Plains, Georgia. That's where she met and married her husband, former President Jimmy Carter. She was surrounded by loved ones who said their final goodbyes and celebrated her religious faith and devotion to humanitarian causes. At her tribute service yesterday, the former president sat in the front row, covered by a blanket featuring his wife's face. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden were also there, along with every living former First Lady. Suicides in America reached an all-time high last year. Nearly 50,000 people in the U.S. lost their lives to suicide, according to the CDC. That's the highest it's been since 1941. Older men are at a higher risk, while rates among younger people have actually declined. Remember Cruise, those self-driving cars? Well, today, General Motors announced they are cutting spending on them. Operations are currently suspended in the U.S. after those cars were involved in several crashes. And the famed Rockefeller tree lighting ceremony is happening tonight. Kelly Clarkson is hosting and performing during the live show. She'll be joined by other special guests like Cher and Kiki Palmer. The Rockefeller tree lighting is a tradition that dates back to 1933. Now let's head out west. President Biden making a campaign stop in Colorado today to tout his economic vision. He toured a clean energy facility that happens to fall squarely in the home district of conservative firebrand Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. NBC News correspondent Aaron Gilchrist has more.
Allison, the president really was trying to showcase his economic policy and his climate clean energy policy and how the two are really working together. He offered this location, CS Wind, as an example. Now, this company is the largest wind tower producer, manufacturer in the world, and earlier this year announced a $200 million expansion that would create 850 jobs over the course of a couple of years. And the president said that his policy, in particular the Inflation Reduction Act, helped to spur that investment. He said it's part of a $600 billion investment that we've seen in this country since he took office in these clean energy production projects around the country. He also noted that his policies, he says, have been successful in not only creating jobs here in Colorado and Pueblo in particular, but around the country, and that it's also helped to deal with other problem areas that we've seen, creating projects to deal with road issues and rail issues and connectivity issues. All, he says, things that are helping to both grow the job force and to help with energy issues in this country. At the same time, this visit did take a political tone. The president said that he hasn't gotten much help from Republicans in trying to make these policies happen. He, of course, targeted in particular the congresswoman from this area, Lauren Boebert, someone who has been outspoken against the president's policies, the Inflation Reduction Act, and other policies. I want you to hear a little bit of what the president had to say in particular about her today.
And then she voted to repeal key parts of this law. And she called this law a massive failure. You all know you're part of a massive failure? It all sounds like a massive failure in thinking by the Congresswoman and her colleagues.
For her part, Congresswoman Boebert put out a statement earlier today saying that families are being crushed under Bidenomics, as she termed it in her statement today, and offering that she thinks the president should be working with her to pass a piece of legislation that she put before the House earlier this year that would create jobs and, as she says, would help to cut back on federal spending, which she says the president has failed to do. At the same time, the president noted that there are Republicans around the country who are talking about projects that are benefiting from his policies and trying to take some ownership of those things. Ellison, back to you.
NBC News correspondent Aaron Gilchrist, thank you. As Congress battles over border policy, new dramatic, upsetting footage captured the moment Border Patrol agents rescued a mother and her 2 kids crossing the Rio Grande in Texas. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky has this report.
You got it. You got it. Frantic rescues on the Rio Grande. DPS Marine units pulling frightened migrant children from the water. Body cams capturing parents too weak to move. Troopers reviving this mother with CPR. The rescue is part of what Customs and Border Protection is calling a shift in migration trends, impacting both Texas and Arizona.
This is the biggest day I've ever seen.
The area near Tucson so overwhelmed. CBP saying they had to divert agents from one crossing to help process thousands of migrants. While in Eagle Pass, Texas, CBP suspended U.S.-bound traffic on a bridge so they could free up even more agents. In San Antonio, how concerned are you that you can't keep up with the capacity?
We are very concerned.
The Migrant Resource Center now over capacity, forcing hundreds to sleep in their parking lot. Magdila Costa brought to tears over the crumbling state of his native Venezuela. He survived the 4-month journey and now hopes to bring his family here. The father of 2 making a personal plea to President Biden. A bipartisan group now negotiating on border policy as some Senate Republicans are pushing for changes in exchange for funding for both Ukraine and Israel.
This is not the moment to begin eroding our values in exchange for emergency aid.
Make people believe they just can't come here and stay, and they'll stop coming.
That was NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky. Our thanks to Morgan. Coming up, forget about dog years. A longevity drug could extend the life of your pup, and it is one step closer to hitting the market. We'll have those details. But first, you gotta see this. It is not your usual snowman. This one is made out of 3 balls of tumbleweed. People in Albuquerque, New Mexico are ringing in the holidays with a unique annual tradition, building a tumbleweed snowman. The sculpture is decorated with recycled materials, and it was unveiled yesterday. It is perched along Interstate 40. It's been there every year since 1995. The 14-foot-tall holiday icon has eyes made out of scrap metal and a 55-gallon drum for a hat. Welcome back. Here are some of the stories happening out west that we're following. A large stretch of Laguna Beach in Orange County, California is closed. That's after nearly 100,000 gallons of sewage leaked from a broken line. It wasn't immediately clear where exactly the break occurred or if the leak flowed directly into the waterways. But the OC Healthcare Agency says the affected area will remain closed until further notice. A woman in Oregon is recovering tonight after a nearly 10-hour rescue mission on Mount Hood. The 36-year-old hiker fell several hundred feet down the mountain last weekend. A local sheriff's department saying extreme conditions made it harder for crews to get the woman out to safety. Once they did, she was taken to a hospital. Officials have not yet provided updates on her injuries or her condition. And police in New Mexico have released surveillance and body camera videos from a mall shooting that happened on Black Friday. Police say it stemmed from a fight. A spot shadow in one of the videos shows one teen chasing another while appearing to pull a handgun from his waistband. As they approached a mall exit, a shot was fired, but no one was hit. Albuquerque police say the teenager with the gun escaped on foot, but eventually turned himself in. He now faces a number of charges. A federal agency is proposing big changes to infant loungers after a number of deaths have been linked to the popular product. Today's decision by the Consumer Product Safety Commission comes after an NBC News investigation found that at least 25 deaths had been linked to baby loungers since 2015. The agency itself conducted a broader investigation over a longer time frame and found loungers and other infant support cushions were linked to at least 79 deaths over a 12-year period. NBC's Ann Thompson has this report.
After years of concern about infant loungers and support pillows, the Consumer Product Safety Commission now wants them redesigned.
The problem with these products is that babies are dying in them, and they shouldn't be.
Today, the CPSC proposing the first ever standards for the pillowy products linked to at least 79 infant deaths since 2010. More than 80% of those deaths involved infants 3 months and younger. The government says these items should be firmer, flatter, and thinner to prevent suffocation.
As long as these things exist, you can't rule out people using them for sleep.
Earlier this year, an NBC News analysis found more than twice as many deaths as the CPSC originally cited. In May, we met Kate and Brandon Movitz. Their 10-week-old son, Pierce, died after his breathing was constricted while he slept in a lounger. Now they've started the Pierce Forever Foundation to help other families.
People need to be educated on, the risks that they're taking.
With millions of products out there, CPSC Commissioner Rich Trumka says education is crucial because the new standards may not take effect for 18 months.
What do parents do with the ones that are currently on the market?
I wouldn't have them in my home. And certainly, if you do have them in your home, don't use them for sleep.
The Manufacturers Industry Group says it shares the CPSC's goal of ensuring products are as safe as they can be, adding parents should always follow the manufacturer's instructions and only use infant loungers for supervised awake time. Asleep or awake, the goal is to make sure babies are safe. Ann Thompson, NBC News.
And tonight, scientists are on the brink of helping your four-legged friends live longer with a new drug. The FDA says this drug has met one of the many conditions needed for market approval. So did scientists crack the code to your pup's life longevity? NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro has more.
Come on, Phil. In a dog's world, the future is far less important than what's right under its nose. But more time with your pup, the latest goal from doggy pharma companies, now that's intriguing for owners.
He's just an old man. He's an old soul. The more research that came out about it, I think I would be interested.
One company is making some headway. Loyal giving NBC News a letter from the FDA saying its drug meant to increase dogs' lifespans just met one of the many conditions needed on its way to market approval. Loyal's hopes that its shot every 3 to 6 months could slow the aging process in big dogs over 40 pounds that typically have shorter lifespans, giving you possibly an extra year of cuddles, fetch, and slobbery kisses.
It compensates for what we believe drives that big dog short lifespan post-maturity.
Celine Haliwa, founder and CEO of Loyal, says the drug lowers the production and release of proteins called growth factors to slow down aging, but they won't make your big dogs smaller.
They're still going to be big. We're not creating medium Danes or anything.
The road to getting the drugs into paws across the country is a long one. Loyal still needs to do more research, show its drug actually increases a dog's lifespan, and provide more safety and manufacturing data for the FDA to vet. The FDA declined to provide a statement on the drug, saying it couldn't comment on applications in progress. And Loyal's not alone. Other researchers are hot on the trail to sniff out their own version. The Dog Aging Project is looking into the drug rapamycin.
Rapamycin in the laboratory has been shown to increase healthy lifespan in mice and worms and flies. And we're interested in whether it can increase healthy lifespan in dogs.
Whether or whenever these drugs go to market, there'll be plenty of owners whose ears perk up at the idea.
I would consider, depending on, what kind of clinical trials have they done.
Others less sure about a first-of-its-kind medication.
You can't know if the dog would want to. I would feel uncomfortable about doing that.
One bioethicist echoing concerns, saying drugs like these are taking the eye off the ball.
If you think about golden retrievers, those dogs have lowered their lifespan over the past years because of breeding for particular traits. There's so much more that we could do to improve dogs' lives.
The desire to keep a dog alive longer mirrors goals we have for our own species, with researchers working on drugs that could extend human life expectancy by years or even decades.
If you ask me, do I want to live longer, I would say yes.
For now, the focus is on more tail wagging, though it's up in the air when Tilly and Ozzy and Yeti's time will be up. Eventually, all dogs go to heaven.
Our thanks to Valerie for that. Up next, more drama from the royal family. A new book revealing some pretty big bombshells. We'll tell you why it was pulled from the shelves in the Netherlands. So stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's take a quick look around the world. Former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan was reportedly attacked by a fellow inmate in the Russian prison where he is serving a term on espionage charges. His brother says he was forced to defend himself after being punched in the face and is being targeted because he is an American. U.S. officials say they are aware of the incident. and that Whelan is receiving medical treatment. Whelan and his family have long denied the charges against him. A U.S. State Department official says Russian President Vladimir Putin will likely wait until the outcome of the U.S. presidential election before making peace in Ukraine. This senior U.S. official says there appears to be a concern that a possible win by former President Donald Trump could damage Western support for Ukraine. And get this, a plane running only on fat and sugar has crossed the Atlantic. The Virgin Atlantic test flight is the first time a commercial plane flew across the Atlantic Ocean without using fossil fuels. The flight started in London and ended here in New York yesterday. Virgin says the use of sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF, is a one-time stunt and not something the airline will use on the reg. Cristiano Ronaldo is facing a $1 billion lawsuit in the U.S. over his promotion of Binance, which was considered to be the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world. Ronaldo partnered with Binance last fall to launch his CR7 NFT collection, promising rewards for his fans' support. The suit says Ronaldo caused plaintiffs to suffer significant financial losses. A controversial new book has hit shelves detailing the state of the British monarchy. And you know that's bringing the royal family's drama to the surface once again. NBC News Now anchor Joe Fryer has the shocking new revelations.
A new book is stirring up some royal family drama. Titled Endgame, Inside the Royal Family and the Monarchy's Fight for Survival, royal author Omid Scobie writes about the state of the British monarchy.
The very title is incredibly loaded. Endgame doesn't paint a particularly positive image for the future of the House of Windsor.
Already causing a stir, the book's treatment of one of Harry and Meghan's most controversial claims, that a royal family member allegedly discussed the skin color of the couple's unborn child.
And you're not going to tell me who had the conversation?
I think that would be very damaging to them.
Now, after reports that the Dutch version of the book named that family member, it's been pulled from shelves in the Netherlands. The publisher says an error occurred in the Dutch translation and is currently being rectified. Scobie is now responding.
Unfortunately, I can't speak Dutch, so I haven't seen the copy for myself. I edited and wrote the English version. There's never been a version that I've produced that has names in it.
NBC News has not obtained or independently verified the contents of the Dutch version. The book is also bringing some more old family feuds to the surface, portraying the Princess of Wales as cold, King Charles as pampered, and alleging Prince William leaked stories about Prince Harry to the press. Scobie is known for having well-placed sources close to the Sussexes.
When it comes to who he sympathises with, absolutely, it's Harry and Meghan.
Scobie is calling the rift between the brothers irreparable. Of late, Prince William appears focused on his charitable causes, stepping out in London Monday night for the Tusk Conservation Awards.
We do have the power to change this.
While his younger brother continues to champion causes of his own, seen with Meghan in Canada last week, the site of the 2025 Invictus Games. The current reality of the brothers' relationship, a far cry from their once close bond. Joe Fryer, NBC News.
Before we go, your social feeds, they are probably flooded with Spotify Wrapped, but why are we all so obsessed with it? And why don't we seem to care about how much data Spotify has on us? Jake Ward will help us break it all down. That's next. For the future of everything. When it comes to chatbots and generative AI, image creators continue to make new waves with their innovations. At the same time, tech researchers are sounding the alarm as a new study found the AI tools are promoting harmful eating disorders. NBC News correspondent Maura Barrett tried it out for herself and saw some concerning results.
With a few quick input questions, generative AI can simplify the headache of planning an itinerary or schedule.
Let's try thin legs inspiration.
But researchers worry that simplicity could be dangerous based on what the user is looking to build.
They don't have the checks and balances that we'd have as human beings. So if a 12-year-old girl came up to you and said, how do I get super, super skinny, and can you teach me a diet plan that will kill me? You would say, no, are you okay? Let's talk a bit further. What these systems say is, here's a diet plan.
Researchers with the Center for Countering Digital Hate found that users on eating disorder forums were already openly embracing AI tools to produce low-calorie diet plans and images glorifying unrealistic body standards. One user even commenting, "When these machines get good at making faces, I'm going to be making so much personalized thinspo." Thinspo, or thinspiration, is imagery often used by those with eating disorders as motivation.
What really scared us was how these AI tools were actually giving them encouragement to get skinnier, dangerously skinny, potentially lethally skinny.
We tested out the tech, asking for diet and fitness plans. While the bot in many cases did flag that my goals were unhealthy and recommended I speak to a healthcare professional, it still laid out some questionable content for someone who may be looking to lose weight quickly.
They give that blanket warning, but then give the advice anyway. Does that help at all?
But by then, they've already provided the person asking the question with the answer of, here's a dangerous diet plan, here's some thinspiration images. And so they're not really that effective. But quite often we found those warning messages didn't pop up at all.
As for some of the generative images, no warning was issued, but some of the images were blurred out. Because of their graphic nature, we're not showing them in full here. Both OpenAI and Google said they don't want their products to inspire self-harm and encourage users to double-check information on their platforms with a doctor, while Snapchat says it takes safety and age-appropriate content seriously.
While AI chatbots are trying to regulate harmful responses, the Center for Countering Digital Hate actually found that people can use a simple jailbreak prompt to circumvent those restrictions and get dangerous results.
The CCDH found that popular AI chatbots like Snapchat, ChatGPT, and Google's Bard produced harmful results 41% of the time, even without a jailbreak prompt, a command that removes restrictions put in place by the platforms. When the prompt was introduced, that number rose to 67% of results containing pro-eating disorder material.
Hello and welcome back to my channel.
Ro Mitchell is an eating disorder survivor. She shared her journey recovering from anorexia on YouTube and Instagram.
And I thought a fun idea for a video would be letting AI choose what I eat in a day. And when it gave me the meal plan that it gave me for the day, it was, first of all, not a lot of food. But second of all, none of the meals had carbs in it.
She says if these tools were available when she was still in the midst of her anorexia or even in early recovery, it would have easily set her back.
If you were searching thinspo and you see an image of somebody that is even more underweight than you or just dangerously underweight, you're going to tell yourself, oh, I'm not actually skinny enough. I'm not actually unwell enough. I can do better. I can get worse.
The issue of body image in girls is nothing new. A study by the Journal of Pediatric Psychology shows 35 to 57% of adolescent girls engage in crash dieting, fasting, self-induced vomiting, diet pills, or laxatives. Now, users are met with a blank search section and a message saying Instagram wants to be sensitive about body image and then shares resources. It's since updated its policy to include generative AI. But for young people, that might not be enough.
It's going to be really easy to figure out the right prompts to get around anything AI says. That is true for anyone. You add in the secrecy with anorexia and you kind of have a recipe for disaster, really.
At the end of the day, experts say the onus is on the platforms themselves.
And so what do tech companies need to put in place to make sure that when their systems are aggregating this information that's online, that it gets produced in a safer way?
So there's two things that we need here. First of all, it's curation. So you need to curate the information that goes into these systems. Secondly, have guardrails and make sure that those are in place before you launch them.
And Mara Barrett joins me now with more. Mara, thank you for doing this report and bringing this to light. Talk to us a little bit about the possible legislative actions that could come. Lawmakers, they are still working on rules and regulations for AI, right? But is this problem something they could actually address, or do any of the proposals out there try to address it?
Lawmakers are very much working on this, and there's a lot of space for regulations in the artificial intelligence space, given the problems that we see. And actually, one of the proposals have come from a bipartisan alliance, a potentially unexpected one, in Republican Senator Lindsey Graham and Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren coming together to take on big tech. They're proposing a new agency to tackle this, one that has its own expertise and flexibility to create new boundaries. The bill that they've proposed would focus focused mostly on competition and antitrust to start. And the fact that these two senators are coming together, they're very clearly typically not fans of one another, but the fact that they're working on this together could signify that there's unity around taking on big tech going forward, Allison.
Mara Barrett, thank you. By now, you've probably seen it on social media or even in your group chats. It's that time of the year where everyone seems to be sharing their Spotify Wrapped. Some consider it an unofficial holiday of sorts, where the streaming giant gives users a recap of what and who they've been listening to all year and how much listening they did. Here's a look at how rapper Ice Spice wrapped up her year. In addition to personalized stats, Spotify also announced the top streamed artist of the year, both globally and in the United States. Taking the cake, big shocker here, Taylor Swift, dethroning Bad Bunny, who held the global crown for the last 3 years. T-Swift dominated the streaming world this year and even thanked some Swifties with a special message.
Oh, hi. This is a special message from me to you. Basically a thank you note. Honestly, it looks like you listened to a lot of my music this year. Doesn't matter which era you were listening to, I'm very, very grateful to be on your Spotify Wrapped.
So this is the 9th edition of Spotify Wrapped, and each year they incorporate new tidbits that keep loyal fans coming back and new users signing up. Spotify even stole users from Apple Music, with some people feeling left out of the hype. So what is it about Spotify Wrapped that makes people go so crazy? Got to answer it. NBC News tech correspondent Jake Ward. Jake, why do we love Spotify Wrapped so much?
You know, I mean, it is one of these things, Ellison, where when you have the entire world to choose from, obviously, right? Spotify doesn't have the entire musical world. I'm sure other streaming platforms would argue that they have competitive offerings here too. But, you know, you've got so many choices. And once you have waded through it all, I don't know about you, but I'm the kind of person who just like, I can't remember what was that? I liked that one. What was this thing? And so when you have this personalized mixtape come back at you, it's the kind of thing that you were dreaming of receiving from a best friend or a love interest, you know, when I was in high school or middle school. It's the kind of thing that you're getting. It just has this deeply personal feel. It's nostalgic. You know, the research has always shown that music triggers all sorts of emotions and memories in our brain that other forms of stimuli do not. I mean, it is just a very, very powerful thing it delivers, and in this personalized wrapper that all of us, I think, just sort of like connect to in this fundamental way that goes far beyond the math that makes it all possible, Ellison.
You know, Jake, there is an interesting part of this where you have covered so many stories on companies collecting private data and how people just absolutely hate that. But Spotify is doing the exact same thing here in a lot of ways, but people really love this. Why is it that they're like all on board with this sort of collection of data, but everything else sort of makes people panic?
You are poking at a very painful little spot for me, Ellison, because it is absolutely it is such a cognitive dissonant thing for me because, yeah, I've like made a whole career out of pointing out that letting ourselves be scanned and our taste be measured and then regurgitated back at us through algorithms is you know, dangerous to our agency. And yet, I mean, man, I am the textbook Spotify recommendation person. These, you know, I used to be the kind of nerd who could tell you this band is this guy and she does this and they used to be together. I can tell you almost nothing about music anymore because, you know, the algorithm kicks it at me, along with Spotify's secret sauce, which is this really amazing, it used to be anyway, this really amazing human set of teams that would, you know, they have like Japanese punk experts and, you know, psychedelic rock experts and, you know, combined with the algorithm giving it all to you. So for me, I absolutely, you know, ignore my own advice and wind up going for it with these playlists to the point where when people say, oh, what are you listening to these days? I say, I don't know. You got to ask the computer. It just tells me what to listen to these days. So it is a tough one for a guy who has tried to push back against this stuff because I definitely do not when it comes to Spotify.
Well, then in that case, though, Jake, we have to ask, what was your Spotify Wrapped list? Are you proud?
You know, I am sort of proud. You know, I'm proud of one thing. So the number one, this is sort of ridiculous, is a song called "Insane" by Black Griffin and Basic. And I wish I could tell you anything about whoever those two artists are. I know the song drives me insane. It's my daughter's favorite song, my 12-year-old's favorite song. And so we listen to that a great deal. And so that's why it's number one. We are supposedly in the 0.1% top listeners of that song. And yet I could tell you almost nothing about it. For me, it's number two and beyond that is really a reflection of me. So Jungle, the British electronic duo, I am I don't know, someday we'll be at some holiday party and I'll show you my terrible efforts to do the TikTok choreography to Jungle. Slowly Rolling Camera, it's a European jazz group that I fall asleep to a great deal. Via Farkature and Khruangbin, big album they had that combines Malian music with sort of trippy Austin psychedelic rock. You know, it's been for me. When I look back at my list, I think, you know, there's a few bangers. There's because I do try and like dance with my kids whenever I can, but for the most part, this is the stuff that I like to like chill out to on the plane when Elon Musk isn't doing something crazy. You know what I mean? Like it's sort of it's that vibe a lot of the time, and I'm realizing that about myself as I look at what Spotify tells me about my top songs here, Allison.
I love that, and I love that a lot of them are bangers you like to dance to with your kids. Jake Ward, we appreciate you as always. Thank you. We have breaking news right now. Former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger has died. His long and complicated career as a diplomat has seen him either as a foreign policy juggernaut by some, considered a war criminal by others. He served throughout the administrations of Presidents Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford as both a U.S. Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. He was 100 years old. That does it for us tonight. I'm Ellison Barber. We will see you tomorrow. But until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.